Oh yeah, it's another beautiful day here in Southwest Florida. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Matthew and this is Barlow BBQ. What I'd like to do for you today is show you one of our favorite ways of grilling a steak. Now there is no shortage of ways to grill a great steak, and the method that I want to show you today is by no means the only method that you can use, all right? But it is a solid method, and I hope it's one that if you haven't heard of it yet, you'll learn something by the end of this video and you'll have a new way to cook a great steak. So let's head on over to the grill and we'll get this cook started. As you can see, I've got my Weber Jumbo Joe fired up. That's what I'm going to use for the steaks today. Now before we take a look at those steaks, I want to tell you about the 3 steps to a proper reverse sear. Step number 1 is the salt. Step number 2 is the smoke. And step number 3 is the sear. Now what we're going to use are 2 chuck eye steaks. So let's talk a little bit about step number 1, the salt. Alright, so here are the 2 chuck eye steaks. And what I did yesterday, I salted these. Now you can use table salt, you can use kosher salt. I actually used some salt flakes, some smoked salt flakes, alright? And what you want to do is you just want to give a nice coating of salt on both sides of these steaks. Now if you're using table salt, you want to use just a little bit less salt, maybe a half a teaspoon per pound of meat. If you're using kosher salt, you can use maybe about a teaspoon, a full teaspoon per pound, okay? This process of salting these steaks before you cook them, whether it's the day before or a few hours before your cook, that's called a dry brine. And a good rule of thumb is the thicker the steak, the earlier you want to salt them, okay? So these are pretty thick, so we wanted to give them a good at least 12 hours of a dry brine, okay? So the longer you can have a dry brine going, the better. So this charcoal has a little bit of time yet before it's ready, so I'll meet you back out here when it's time to get the steaks on. So for this step, we're simply going to cook these steaks indirect, okay? We're going to place these opposite the coals, and we're going to let these smoke until we get an internal temp of around 116 degrees. And all right, y'all, we are smoking. And by the way, I am using some hickory wood for our smoke today. Now listen, just because we're using the Jumbo Joe doesn't mean you've got to use it. You can use any charcoal grill that you've got. If you've got a Weber kettle, whatever it may be, you can follow these steps and still have great results, all right? We're just using the Jumbo Joe because it's just 2 of us, just got a couple steaks, so there's no need to fire up the kettle. All right, so I'm going to give these steaks about maybe 15-20 minutes. We'll come check on them, get a temperature reading, and see where we're at. Don't go anywhere. All right, these chuck eye steaks have been smoking now for a total of 30 minutes. Let's go ahead and check out their temperature and see if it's time to sear. The color of these steaks is looking real nice from the smoke that we got. They have a really cool mahogany red color to them. I've got my handy dandy digital probe thermometer right here. Let's go ahead and take a temperature reading and see where we're at on these steaks. All right, that one is reading 117, 118, that's good. And over here, and just off camera, that is reading 118 as well. So these are ready for our final step, the sear. All right, these steaks are ready to come off the grill. And I'm going to get those off of there, and then I'm going to leave the lid off the Jumbo Joe because I want to let that charcoal back there get really hot. We want a real hot grill to do our sear. Now to get these steaks ready for the sear, I'm just going to do one simple thing. Grab yourself some paper towels, and I'm just going to use this paper towel to get some of the moisture off the steak. See that? Because moisture just gets in the way of the sear, all right? So you want to get as much of that moisture off as you can. Pat that paper towel on there. These aren't too bad. All right, these coals back here are looking really good. These are going to be great for our sear. So let's go ahead and get these chuck eye steaks going. All right, you hear that sizzle? That's what you want to hear within the first 20 seconds you get your steaks on. That's how you know you've got the right amount of heat going. And since these are thicker, let's go ahead and give these maybe about 2 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and flip them. All right, you know what? This grill's so hot, I haven't even given it 2 minutes yet, but check it out. We got an awesome sear going on in here. That Maillard reaction is happening, so let's go ahead and flip these. All right, these are ripping on the other side, so they'll probably just need a minute or so. We're just looking to get a nice sear real quick. Got our sear going on with these steaks. All right, let's go ahead and flip this. We're gonna get that off, and we'll move this one off as well. I got the steaks off the grill, and now they're gonna rest for about 5 minutes. Now I definitely did overshoot these as far as doneness is concerned. I was hoping for about a medium rare to medium, but these temped out around 145 to 150. So they're not gonna be a medium rare, that's for sure. But that's just the nature of making videos. You can do everything perfectly on your own, but as soon as you set up that camera and start filming, but what are you gonna do? I know it's gonna be delicious anyways, and I'm looking forward to trying these steaks out. All right, well, I got a nice little bite of the steak right here. Let's try it out. I tell you what, that is so good. First thing that hit me was a nice salt flavor from that dry brine that we did. That was real good. I also got a real nice smoke flavor from our hickory wood. And even though I did overcook it a little bit, that steak was tender, juicy, flavorful. I can't complain at all about this steak. So listen, I'll have the whole process for you right down below in the description box. So that is gonna do it for today's video. Really appreciate you hanging out with me today. It's always nice to see you. And until next time, smoke 'em if you got 'em. Bye-bye.